Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Cards and Castles Ultimate. Today I'm going to be going over the 4 starter decks that you get as soon as you start the game, and I'm going to be playing a couple practice games, probably just like 1 or 2 with each of them, and showing off how they work. So the first deck we're going to start with is the Zombies Rise. So this deck is all about, as you might have been able to guess, zombies, and also feeding your units into your graveyard and using them for um, their various grave call effects. So it has a nice little early game with Grave Tender to return units from your graveyard to your hand after you've had a bunch of them in there. Skeletal Warrior, which is just a little early game guy that can also get big if they want. Oh, and there are also a few last will effects in this deck. So with War Cow, that's just a good way of getting some extra little buffs while maybe controlling the early game. Banshee is a really good recurring grave call card that you can basically play over and over again if you're running out of cards. Theradon Digger is a good way of putting cards into your graveyard by discarding and then drawing an extra card to cycle through your deck. Dark Magician is going to be the main way of getting your zombies and using your tombstones. As if a zombie dies, it'll go back into a tombstone, and then you can revive it as a zombie later. We just have Flame Geyser for some extra control. Not extra, it's the only control card so far. Hades is just a good way of utilizing cards going to your graveyard to gain some extra treasure. Can also buff himself. The Reckless Firemancer just for some extra control as well, and being able to get your control cards out of your deck. Necromancer Zethic is going to be buffing up your zombies. Then we just have some various control cards here. The Dark Reaper for some more zombie support, more control, and then the Were-Rat. Honestly, don't really know why it's in here. Just seems to be because it's a last will card. And we have Lava Giant and Ruckanoth the Destroyer for finishers. So it's really about getting your dudes in the graveyard and turning them into zombies. So we'll just get right into the game. This is a good hand. I like this. 1, 2, 3. Alright, well, we're just waiting on Geologer here. Here, I'll just push him forwards. I gotta turn down the sound effects a little bit. It's a little bit loud. Oh. He's just gonna let me continue going through. Thank you, my man. We'll see what he's cooking up. Normally you want this to kind of stay behind, but he's not playing anything, so I'm sort of going on the aggressive side. Alright, so I am actually going to sacrifice this guy. But I'm going to... yeah. I'll do this to get a spell card. And I'll have this guy go forward. So I get a treasure from Hades. And I'll kill him. So now 2 units have died in a single turn. So this guy's a 4/3. Means I can take that out. And I'll send in this cow, just for some extra aggro. And I have more cards to control what he plays, so I can continue going for his castle. Oh yeah, he's probably just sending this guy as well to buff up my skeleton. Now everybody is low ranks at the moment, so it's probably filled with people who haven't played that much. So we're just gonna wait. People will get better at the game as it continues, obviously. Alright, this should just be game, I think. By Poison Swamp. It'll also do 2 damage. I'm 1 away, really? Alright, well it's fine. I can kill it with Burn Down next turn. Alright, buddy, hurry up. You don't have any plays going on. Bro, hurry up. Oh. Whap whap. Sucks to suck. Alright, that was a game with the Zombies Rise decks. Now I'll move on to the Big Monsters deck. As you can probably presume, this deck is about getting your big creatures out. And ramping up to them. So the big guys that we need are the deep sea jellyfish, giant squid, brontosaurus, ancient arbor, and owlbear. Those are sort of our bigger, more expensive guys. We also do have some expensive control payoffs, if we have a lot of gold remaining. But to get there, here we'll start back at the beginning. So Maul is going to give a friendly unit +1/+2 and attack a nearby enemy unit, so that can just be useful for... That +2 health can also count as healing, so that'll be useful for keeping your guys alive while also being able to get extra value out of attacking nearby enemies. We have a resourceful privateer, just to sort of keep you alive and control the early game a little bit. Survival instinct is just a good way of getting some temporary buffs on your stats. And again, whenever health is buffed, even temporarily, that can count as healing. So after the +3 health goes away for the turn, it still would have healed for that much. And we have, but it doesn't count as healing for cards that synergize with healing. But we're a Treasure Hoarder. This is a really cool card that'll buff your gold up as long as he's staying alive. Got the War Cow again. He's sort of... War Cow and Derridon Digger are sort of in everything. Colossal Growth, just another way of getting big guys. Torgon the Wild, very cool card, transforms your weaker guys, or even some of your bigger guys, into 5/5 owlbears. The Merchant's Estate will allow you to get card draw off of your big expensive dudes. Northwood Bear, just a solid unit that'll be able to control some of your opponent's units by attacking them at the end of your turn. Salahar Voyager is just another way of ramping up your gold. We have the Tyrannical Gorilla, which will he can either get bigger if your opponents have bigger units, or he can get bigger if you have big units. And then we have Forest Giant and Living Vines as our 4-drops, which are just big units. Alright, we'll get into a round, and we'll see what happens. Alright, so you do want to get rid of your big guys in the early game, because you can't play them, so you want your as cheap of minions as you can get. Now next turn I'll probably crack this vault to get the Salhar Voyager out. Or actually, I might just go after that. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to crack the Vault of Bravery, which gives me a temporary extra gold. I'm going to send in my Northwood Bear, who now, because it's the beginning of my opponent's turn, he can attack straight into him. Which is really useful because I don't want him getting any value out of Hades, which you saw in the previous round. Alright, now I can keep this guy alive. No, I don't think it's worth it yet. I'll just play this guy. And then he'll automatically attack the books. I'm gonna play Torg in the Wild next turn, so I can start converting my small guys into bigger guys. I don't really know what they're doing. I'm gonna send her in, so next turn she can attack this Dark Reaper, hopefully. And then I'll play the Merchant's Estate and Torg in the Wild. I'm not going to play anybody else yet because I don't want them to have a field clear, which they most likely do. I would also like to know if people would be... What? Oh, come on. Nobody plays that good. Anyways. I would also be interested in knowing if you guys would like to see me stream or something. I don't know, I just think it would be kind of fun. But yeah, I do have to kill this now, because that's going to be a big problem. I'll discard... I don't need the treasure hoarder right now. It's going to be better for me to have other units. And then I am going to set that up, so once she attacks into him, he'll grow by 3/3, and will kill the Sayaka. And I'll send in this gorilla, because why not? Actually, yeah, I'll do that. Just in case either one gets attacked, and I don't want them to die. Oh, I forgot that she would grow. Oh man, I forgot they would get healed. Or frozen, I mean. That's fine. It's not like they're gonna have a charge card that's just gonna kill everybody. Psh, no. Alright. Well, what is that? Okay, great, you killed my cow. Great, great work. And I'll set these up. But yeah, it's just gonna have to do. Oh my god. That's not good. I need a big guy right now, because that'd also get me a draw. Come on, big guy. Guess that's fine. Not really what I want. I guess that'll have to work for now. What is taking him so long? Come on. Hurry up! Oh my god. I'd probably search for another one of her, I think. Great, wonderful. You broke the grave. Okay. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give the Living Vines a temporary buff, and then also give it Maul, so it attacks there. Then I'm gonna have it walk it forwards and attack there, so I heal a bunch temporarily, and hopefully that'll keep me in the game a little bit. But I really don't know, because this is a problem. Just gonna be able to draw a bunch of cards with that. Yeah, I don't think there's anything I can do here. Oh, they're playing like my favorite deck. Yeah, I showed this deck off in one of my videos. But it's really strong. I need to kill Zeus, but I don't really have a way to do that. Is there any control in this deck? There's none. I need a jellyfish. Come on, jellyfish. Come on, jellyfish. Or 2 5-cost cards. Luckily I can place a guy here, and he won't be able to attack my castle or anything. I'm gonna put you there. Yeah, this is game over. Literally the only way I can even get damage on his castle anymore is if he decks out. Yeah, unfortunately this is going to be a loss. But that is a downside of this deck. There's no control, no spells or anything that can help. Yeah, there's nothing I can do. I would need to kill Zeus for me to even have a chance. But there's no way I can get anybody back there. Alright. Great. Alright, I'm just gonna concede. Alright, well, that was the deck. But that's the issue that I said with, in my going over everything video, is that big guys can just be controlled, and they don't really have a way of doing anything. Alright, so far the zombies deck is better. Now, Sunfire Assault. This deck is pretty good. It is a very aggro-y control deck. As I said, red decks would be. So we have, for some early damage, we have Baby Dino, which can charge to the opponent's castle, start getting some chips off. The Sorceress Inquisitor will allow you to deal extra damage and draw cards just by playing spells, which there are plenty of in this deck. The War Cow is back, of course. Eternal Phoenix is just a generally strong flyer, and you can also grave call it to resurrect it and deal a lot of damage. The Faithful Drake, just another flyer that'll keep your castle high on health. Fire Drake, another flyer, but can also surge it to deal some extra damage. Flame Geyser for control. Reckless Firemancer for control and getting your spells from your deck. The Blade of Light is going to be able to buff up your troops, because you'll have plenty of those. And then also can either heal itself, or more likely the castle, whenever it attacks. The Demonic Mobster, very strong card, will get buffed every time you play a spell. Will deal damage to your castle though, so you want to keep that in check. The Shield Runner, great way of controlling your opponent, great way of maybe even getting that little extra chip damage you need in. But he can very easily reach the back lines and take care of opponent's troops that are sort of gaining value. Barbarian will gain attack every time a friendly unit attacks, and there's plenty of those that'll be attacking. For control, we have Burn Down. Cloak of Fire can also be a good control card, as every time the unit it's on dies, it'll return to your hand, and you can keep recycling that 1 damage. You have the Holy Avenger, which will gain stats each time one of your many troops dies, and you can also grave call it for an extra destruction effect. Judgment Day, very strong card, one of my favorites. You can basically just wipe your opponent's entire board, but be careful as it will also wipe your board. Then we also have Dragon's Fire, which... So yeah, Dragon's Fire will be able to synergize with these 2 little extra dragons you have. But that's just another way of controlling. Lava Giant also controls and deals damage to the castle. And Radiant Strike just for some extra control. So overall, I expect this deck to probably be the best out of the 4. But we'll just see how it performs. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. What is that rank? I don't know. I don't know why it's placing me against that. I do want this guy to live, as he's pretty strong. So I'm gonna take the shot from the monkey. And I'll just charge in with the fireman. So, oh, nope, he's going back to my hand, I guess. I don't really know why that was necessary. Now I might just play the Blade of Light already. Sure, why not? That'll heal her back up. And then, as that continues, I'll be able to heal the castle as well. Wow, he's just got nothing? Oh. I see. That would make sense. Now I'll probably play the Sorceress Inquisitor, Flame Geyser, and activate its effect next turn. Yeah. Boom. And heal her back up. Okay. Oh, I have to use this now. So I'll do this, and then I'll use the burn down on her, and then Demonic Mobster will buff himself. Alright, buddy, let's hurry this up. What are you doing? Alright, well. Oh. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. Buff you up. And I'm just gonna send in both of these guys to take out him, and he'll heal the castle, unfortunately. And then that's 8 damage from that punch there. And heals up my castle. Okay. Oh, I see. That's a problem. Yeah, I'll do that. And I'll send in my smaller guys. Alright, buddy, hurry up. Oh, I forgot he gets back all the equipment and stuff. Okay, he drew a card. What? Nothing? Alright. I'm gonna do that. That. And then destroy you. And on my turn there. Oh my. Oh boy. What is this, the nearest friendly unit? Oh, actually that should be fine. Yeah, here's what I can do. Crash you into that. Crash you into that. And I can surge you. And I can surge you. I can send you in to deal a bunch of damage. Alright. I have this army of flying units that hopefully doesn't just die instantly. Whoa. I need a way to kill that. And that's a way to kill that. Hell yeah! I don't think the opponent played very good that game. But I'd say that is pretty... I'd say that went pretty well. Alright, last one. Northern Warlords. So this deck's going to be pretty similar to the big monster deck or whatever that was. But I would say this one is a better version of that. It has more control options and just generally better creatures. So for our early game, we have Maul and War Cow making their return. We also have Shield Maiden, which whenever attacks and adds an overload to your hand, which is this card right... Can I actually do this? No. Which is this card right here, which will buff up a unit and also deal some extra damage. We have the Vaskrim Marauder, a cheap guy that can gain some extra attack if he lives and he eventually attacks. So you usually want to only play that on turn 1. After that, it's not really going to do much. Then we have Berserker, which there are cards that buff stats. So he can usually get up there pretty frequently to his 4 attacks so that he gains some extra stats, and can rampage through your opponent's units. Colossal Growth making another return. That's probably the main way you'll get Berserker up. Snowy Owl can just be some extra card draw or freezing, as he can fly and attack on the same turn. And he's just a good control card. Thirst for Battle. Give a friendly unit +1/+1 this turn and immediately attacks an enemy unit twice. That means it'll attack twice, get some stats, and you might have some cards that trigger on attacks, or something like that. This is also a good way of controlling. We have Brynjolf the Brawler, who when he attacks, he pushes enemies. He can also push the castle, so be wary of that when you're using him. And then the Chain Lightning will also happen based on where it lands, not based on where it's first hit. Northwood Bear makes a return. We have Vaskrim Warrior, which can get pretty big and can take out groups of enemy units using its cleave. Forest Giant and Living Vines are back. You have the Polar Bear, which you have a few cards that cost 5 or more. So he'll sometimes gain that ambush, but the freeze is really the main use for him. War Lady Freya. That's one of your payoffs for using your extra attacks, because you'll get extra card draw. Ice Walker Giant, also a payoff for extra attacks. Whenever it deals damage, it summons one of these penguins, which can get out of hand pretty quickly. And then any extra field clear that they might use to kill the penguins will most likely also damage the Ice Walker, thus summoning more penguins. The Ancient Arbor making its return. Then we have Fenrir, Valhalla's Bane, which there aren't too many spells in this deck. There's like 6, maybe? But he can be used to take out a bunch of small minions. Hugin, Odin's Raven, is an amazing way to get out all your units for free, as whenever your opponent plays a card, it's most likely going to be a unit, which will then summon it. Then Murkhan can give can buff up your field, and is usually your big finisher. Or usually a big finisher. Alright, last game. Northern Warlords. Here we go. You don't want to keep that in your starting hand, because it's usually not going to be very... Although it does synergize with Living Vines pretty well. But I will hope to get a... That is not an early game unit. That's a card, I guess. Uh-oh. Okay, yeah, I am going to kill you. Because as that thing does extra damage, or does a bunch of attacks, it's going to get way too much value. You really can't let it live. Or else it can be a big problem in the late game. Okay, so it seems like my opponent is also using the same deck that I am currently. I don't know what they're looking at. They don't have any gold left. But... So I guess this won't be a good test to see the strength of it versus other decks. But we can at least see how it performs. I don't really like having all these moles, but I guess it's fitting with this bear. We'll see what they can do. The thing about Hugin is it will summon it next. It will summon the units it draws next to it. So you either want in your enemy's lines so you start swarming their field, or you want it in the back so it doesn't die as easily. I can do this. Send him in, use his ability to buff him up, and then use brutality to have him attack the polar bear. Okay, that's cool. I like that. Now I am down card advantage, but hopefully Hugin will allow me to get that back. Oh. That's sad. I'll probably have to maul this as well so I can keep my Northwood bear alive. And that'll heal it back up to a 3-3. Well, buddy? Oh yeah, I'm just gonna have him go into the back lines and start destroying some guys. Oh, that's a perfect draw. That's actually a phenomenal draw. Because that'll draw me a card off this, and it'll draw me a card off that attack as well. And then it won't do it. It won't draw a card off its attack because it won't have any. It won't have the buffed stats anymore. But that was an amazing draw. So if he doesn't play too much, I'm probably gonna send in Hugin, and I'll send him over here, so that I can spawn my big guys next to his castle. he should definitely just kill the bear. Now use his ability. Nope. Okay. If you used his ability there, it would have been a buffed unit, which would have had War Lady Freya have drawn a card. Alright, I'm gonna send in the Ice Walker. And I'm gonna use this Thirst for Battle to have him go kill Freya. And then summon in a penguin. And then I also get to draw a card off of my Freya. Alright, buddy, hurry up. He's probably just nervous. I mean, no matter what he does here, he's in for a beating. Oh. Well, I have a lot of penguins now. Well, sucks to be him. I'm just gonna swarm him with my penguins. Whoa. Oh wow, that maxed out the mic, sorry about that. Okay, so overall, I would say in order from best to worst, the best is going to be Sunfire Assault, then Northern Warlords, then Zombies Rise, then Big Monsters. But we are going to end this battle off, or end this video off, with opening the 89 packs I have. I got 76 for my transfer rewards because I was like level 100 and something like that. But I am going to open up a bunch of these packs and see what I get. Thank you. Okay, I really like this Wave Breaker. Kondo's a good pickup. I like Arcanon, Lord of Chaos as well. So not phenomenal, but those are some good cards. Now let's take a look at some of the epics we got. Horseback Samurai is a great pickup. Ragnar is also pretty cool. Oh shoot, I wasn't supposed to open these yet. Okay. Alright. Don't open your packs. I completely forgot about this. What you should do is go through the campaign and get all of the decks. I'm going to play these on my own. Make sure to get all of the decks, and then you won't open copies using packs. You'll get only new cards. Or you don't get any rewards or extra like wild cards or anything if you already have copies of the cards in these pre-made decks. So just make sure you you do the whole campaign first, and then you can go back through and oh my god, sorry, I blanked. And then you can go back through and open your packs. But that's going to be all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you learned a little bit about the pre-made decks, and I hope you have a great day. Peace.